Hi there! Today I'm doing a very simple Unity tutorial on how to create elastic or bug-like enemy patrolling system. Let's get straight in. So I'm going to drag in some of the art of my animator friend Giacomo. Okay, so now I have a dragonfly and a ladybug and also a background. Firstly, I will place down all the things that I need in the hierarchy. So we have here this little guy. Right now his components are only have transform and sprite render. I will be adding first a Rigidbody 2D to know that this game object has physics component. I don't need a collider. If you want the game to collide in a certain way, you will have to add the collider yourself. I will then add a target joint 2D. Now with this target joint 2D, this is where the magic happens. You can see that this fly, you can see the little guy will always want to go back to the target position. And through here, we can adjust these variables in order to simulate different behaviors. So if I create a damping of 0.5, you can see that there is somewhat a smooth movement to it. And just like the tutorials online with finding the new position for the player to be, it's very simple. I don't actually have to create a force to push or to use translate. All I need to do is to always change the target position. So once all this is set up, I will now create the script to help the movement. So firstly, we need to get the target join 2D component in order to change the target position inside the target component from here. Where is it? Here, from here. So we're gonna write private target joint 2D, target joint 2D. I will then need to say where the position of the target joint will be, and it should be done through constraints. I will use a header to keep everything tidy. Public float max x, public float min x. After finding the value between these constraints, I will need to store it in another variable, and it will be vector2 variable. Public vector2 target position. Because the object will be patrolling through different places, and also there should be somewhat frequency between changing new target position for the game object. So I'm gonna write a header here, keep everything nice and tidy. So I'll have here move frequency. So in this section, I want to add a movement timer, which is gonna be a float. For now, let's just say it's 3. I will also set another public float max move timer, min move timer. For now, I'll put them on 5, and then this one will be 1. So let's say the target position will be changed between every 1 to 5 seconds. Okay, now I think that's it for now. So firstly, let's get the target join 2D component. So we're gonna write start target join 2D get. We're going to get component target join 2D and update. So, okay, now let's first define the target position. So that will not be on an update. Let's create a private void and let's call it change pos. I will create local variable on position X and position Y. This will determine the target position up here. Now I'll have to use them. So I'll say pos X equals random.range max X min X. And then I have pos y equals random.range max y min y. Now that we have these two positions based on the constraints we've set, we can determine the new position for the target. So we're gonna write target position equals new vector2 pos x from what we set on top and pos y. So now we have this new position that we randomly generated in a way. And now is the cool part where we link it to the target join 2d.target. So target join 2d.target equals target position. I hope that's all clear. You can see there's the constraint here. So we first define the constraints, which will be in the inspector. Then through this, we'll call on the change position. Actually, I'll just put this here. So it's called on the start of the game. And once it's called, we will define based on the constraints we set on the top to define two random positions on X and Y. And then based on these two values, we're going to set a new target position, which is going to be the target join to these target new position. I hope that makes sense. Now to make it loop, now we're going to work on this side of the code. So let's say let's do a first check. If target join 2D is null, which means you can't find it, well, let's just debug. It's a good habit. You can even error if you want. And then we'll hit return. So it skips the entire thing because you cannot find the target join. Oh, we'll need to have a start timer. Okay, we'll have another one. Private float start timer equals 0. So now that I created the second variable, I will need to check if this variable is equal to this or bigger to this. And using these two values to define this number. So if, let's say, start timer is bigger or equals to move timer, then we want to change the position. Based on here, we're going to copy this. Once it's changed, obviously we need to set the timer to back to 0 again. So start timer is again equals to 0, and also set a new timer. So we want move timer, which is this number, which is this number on the top, will be equals to random.range between these two numbers. If, however, this was not reached, what if the start timer is still, let's say, 1 second and the move timer is still 3, we haven't reached there, then we want to add this number. So else we want start timer is plus equals to time.delta time. And that's about it. It's a very simple code with just some simple constraints. Now let's see this baby work. So first of all, we want to, here in the inspector, to set the constraints. Oh, and also make sure that auto configure target is set to off. So let's go to the max Y and also X. We have here X position is this. We'll set max X here. Max Y position is this. Then we'll go back to down here. We'll set min X is here. And then also min Y is here. Okay. So far so good. Max move timer we should have, let's say, just for the sake of video, every 1 to 3 seconds. Oh, and we have the target join value on, so we should actually put that on private because we don't need to know that. So now that everything is set up here, we're done. Let's see this bad boy run. So as you can see right now, it moves very fast. It's behaving in a very strange way. But what you can do is play around with the values here. So if I say that I want the damping value to 0.3, it's kind of like a spidery like behavior. I'm not even sure how to explain it. You can see now it's behaving much more different than before. You can also add gravity to it, which I don't recommend. So I'm going to take the gravity out. But yeah, you can clearly see that it now behaves in a very strange way. If I want to make it into a very slow, rigid knot without doing too much bouncing here, it doesn't have a rebound kind of effect. I'm not really sure how to describe that. If I have 10 on frequency, you can see now that it does. See? And it's very strange. Obviously, it just needs to be tuned. So if I have 0.5, you can see that during the middle process it's going very fast, and then once it's getting really close to the new position, it slows down, creating this really smooth movement. But yeah, that's about it. I hope this was somehow helpful to you. I found that it was a pretty interesting way to make the enemies move. I'm pretty sure the target join 2D component isn't supposed to be used like this, but yeah, I thought it was really fun and really cool way to have this lerp behavior without too much code. So thanks so much. If this was helpful to you, please give a like and also consider to subscribe. And based on my devlog, if you've seen anything that you'd like to know about my code, please do leave a comment down below or connect with me on Twitter or join my Discord. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.